I didn't introduce my mate properly. So Ray Bishop, really old friend of mine. Now, this guy is a bit of a legend, right? He's
a lot of a legend.
He really is. He was one of Britain's most wanted man, naughty bastard, right? But he's now a best-selling author, right? His book was published with Virgin, Outlaw, right? In jail, he bettered himself, right? I've been in jail for a long time. Let me tell you, most people fucking smoke spice and sit in their bed watching daytime TV. They do. Right, anyone's been in jail, tell you, right?
I've been in jail as well.
Right, that's what people do. This guy, right, done a fucking master's, done a degree and a master's degree in psychology and wrote a book. You ever try writing a book? It's no small thing. Now, right, he runs a massive scaffolding firm, right, he's got a lovely woman, right, he's settled, he's outside of all the crime and that, and he's a BBC presenter as well, right? So, Ray, Ray. And he won a British title with the unlicensed boxing on top of that.
Thank you.
Go ahead, mate.
It's lovely to be here amongst you all, you know, my people, you know, my people who come from the school of hard knocks, like we all did, and you're here, bettering yourselves or whatever. You know, I was born in South East London, tough times, very tough times, child of the 70s. You know, I'm the son of Irish migrants, so we had it quite hard back then. There was a lot of stigma, especially where I grew up in Woolwich, because it was a military town, and we had the IRA and all this stuff, so we were stigmatised as young kids. I don't want to blame my past. You know, I turned out bad when I was young. You know, I don't make excuses. You know, I made choices. I'm not going to blame my upbringing. It's an old Chinese proverb. And if you don't hear any one thing from me today that may inspire you in some way, please remember this. The man that blames everyone is nowhere near. The man that blames himself is halfway there. The man that blames no one has arrived. You know, think about that. Think about that. Because as a child, I could have blamed my circumstance. My dad was an alcoholic. He died when he was young. My mum was an Irish Catholic, stigmatised in the community. We had nothing as kids. We were in poverty. We really were. You know, I had holes in my shoes, all this stuff. I made some bad choices, got involved in crime. You know, thought that's the way, you know. And if you'd have asked me when I was 16, 17 years old, 18 years old, and I was getting involved in petty crime, why are you doing this? I would have said to you, because everyone is. The truth is they weren't. Some people were not, but I didn't focus on them. And I started to abuse drugs at a young age, 18, 19, because I felt different than other kids. I had social anxiety. I wasn't confident. I was scared of women. I felt inferior, all this stuff. And I didn't know what was going on. So I started to take drugs, cannabis, drinking. It done something for me, made me feel a little bit more whole as a person, you know. And I went on like that for years. And drug use progressed, criminality progressed, until I ended up a dangerous man. And I don't say that through ego or effect, that was my reality. You know, I was a prolific armed robber. I was involved in organised crime on the continent, smuggling, all sorts. You know, and if you'd have asked this frightened child, what does he want to be when he grows up? I certainly wouldn't have said, Britain's most wanted man. I wouldn't have said that. I would have said, a fireman or something like that. But the truth is, I never knew what I wanted to be because I never stopped to think or look at myself long enough. And when I did finally get arrested, I escaped from prison. That's the most wanted man bullshit. It's not Raoul Moat or something like that. It's just I broke out of prison, etc., etc. But when I was in prison, I thought, you know what? There's two ways to go here. Two ways to go. A very wise man once said, and you'll know this man was called Charlie Richardson, who was one of the Richardson brothers. He said, make the time serve you, don't serve the time. So when I was in prison, and I was a high-risk Category A prisoner for a number of years, up in a maximum security prison up in Worcester, and I was fortunate enough to get accepted to do my GCSEs. I'd done some GCSEs. I left school with nothing. I think I left there with someone's bike I'd stolen. But I certainly didn't leave with a single qualification because I didn't think I was worth it. If the truth be known, I didn't think I was worth a qualification, you know. So what I'd done, is I done a GCSE in maths, and I got a D or something stupid like that. But you know what? It felt good. It felt good that I'd achieved something. And then I went on, and I actually done an A level in English literature. Fuck, I had no interest in the subject whatsoever. Elizabeth Barrett Browning and sonnets and stuff like this. A complete garble to me. But an A level, it meant an A level, and to me that meant more than a GCSE. I then went on and got accepted to do a degree. And I went and I studied for 6 years in prison and done a degree in psychology. And I was very, very fortunate that my tutor at the time was the person who started mine, the mental health charity, Dr. Elizabeth Page. She was my tutor because she was retired. So I spent a lot of time with her, and I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about addiction. I learned a lot about humans and the psyche and why we do what we do. And I had plenty of time on my hands, so I used to go away and reflect on that and think, how can I better myself? How can I better myself? And when I got my degree, I was awarded it in prison. It felt really, really good. And then I got an award. I got put forward for an award for personal rehabilitation because of the first few years of my sentence, I don't say this, here you go, any bullshit like that. Read me book. You know, I was in segregation units. I ended up in a special unit in a high security category A prison. My next door neighbour was Bob Maudsley, who I don't know if you know who Bob Maudsley is. He's a serial killer. You know, he's killed 3 people whilst in prison. He's never been released. He was my next door neighbour in Long Lartin in prison. I've been in the segregation unit twice with Charlie Bronson. You know, when my book came out, Charlie done me a big thing saying, box good, Ray, you done good, whatever. Cut a long story short. In prison, I then went on and thought, you know what, I'm going to take this one step further because we can. And I've done a master's degree in psychology. I ended up getting a first in psychology. And I was one of 2 students selected out of 120 to go on to do a PhD. But I never done it because by the time I came up to do my PhD, they moved me to a resettlement prison in London and I started working in the community. But I'd got my degree. And then I got called up. At the start of my sentence, I was labelled Britain's most wanted man. At the end of my sentence, I got an award from the Lord Chief Justice for personal rehabilitation. Incredible. And they called me in and gave me an award for personal rehabilitation. So just, I hope that inspires you slightly. And none of it's about ego. Or, you know, I'm nothing. I'm nothing and no one. But we can all become someone, you know. And what's important in this world is not money, property, prestige. It's the people you have in your life and the memories you create, because that's all we take with us when we go, you know. Thank you.